Hi everyone, this lesson goes over how to convert decimals and fractions into percents. In this first slide, we will work on decimals to percents. So as you can see from the note underneath, percent is defined as a meaning out of 100. That means if we can turn anything out of 100, we can easily write that as a percent. So in the first example, we have 5/10 giving, and that if you want to turn it into a fraction is 5 out of 10 because this is the 10th. And again, we want to keep it to 100. So to turn 5/10 to 100, you will multiply by 10. That means on the numerator, I'm also multiplying by 10, and that gives me 50/100th. And guess what? Whatever that's in the numerator is your percent because we have a fraction out of 100. So this is 50%. And in question B, we have 234,000th because of the last decimal place value. That means we will write this as 234,000th. And to turn that into 100, you will divide 1,000 by 10. That means on the numerator, you will do the same thing to preserve the proportion. And that gives 23.4. And again, whatever that's in the numerator is your percent. That means this equals to 23.4%. In question C, we have 2 56/100th. And that gives us 256 over 100. And this is our numerator, which is also our percent. So we have 256%. The last one is the thousandth again. So we have 5 over 1,000. And we need to convert that to 100 again by dividing by 10. That gives us 0.5 over 100, which in turn will be our percent in the numerator, so 0.5%. To wrap this up, to convert any decimal into percent, the first thing you should do is write the decimal into fraction and then convert that fraction into a denominator of 100. In this slide, we will convert fractions that does not have a denominator of 100 into a percent. The example given is 24/40. There are many ways to convert that into a percent, but we're going to focus on 2 ways today. The first way is called the ratio table. So let's write this down. We have a fraction with a numerator and a denominator of 24 and 40. And we want to convert this into a fraction with a denominator of 100. As you notice, I left a big gap in between the 40 and the 100 so that we can use the space to get us to 100. If you use a calculator, you can quickly solve this, but let's try to do it without a calculator. Notice how 40 can be simplified to 20 by divided by 2, which we will also divide it by 2 in the numerator and get 12. And good news, you just found a denominator that is a factor of 100, which 20 goes into 100 by 5 times. That means you can do the same thing right here. You times it by 5, and that brings you 60. So given that you have 60 out of 100, that's your percent, 60%. Now, how do you do it with a double number line? It is the same logic. You start with a number line where the numerator, it's the smaller number, so you put it at the beginning, and the 40 is the denominator, which is at the end right here. Given that 40 is your denominator, it's also the total, and that also means 100%. So now you will put a variable n in here, meaning that you don't know what that number is that you want to find. And before I even continue, let's do some facts right here that you need to know. If I have an equivalent fraction such as 1/2 and 2/4, and I cross multiply them, you should know that both of them gives me 4. Let's try it with another example, 2/3 and 10/15. Again, they are both equivalent fractions. When you multiply using cross product, you should know that they both are 30. So a fact that I'm trying to show right here is if 2 fractions are equivalent, the cross products will be the same. So coming back to the question, if 40 is 100%, and 24 is to a percent that you don't know, you can actually use cross product to find unknown. Because they are equivalent, their cross product should be the same thing. That means 40 times a number should give you 2,400. So how do you find this number? You use something called the inverse operation. If you do 40 times a number that gives you 2040, you reverse the operation. So you divide it by 40 here, which you divided by 40 here. Then you should know that the missing number will be 60%. If you use back the variable, n will equal to 60%, which is what we just got from the ratio table. Now let's try with another example to make sure you understand these two ways. If you're doing this with the ratio table, you have a fraction with a numerator and a denominator where the numerator is 45 and the denominator is 30, and you want to get to a fraction with a denominator of 100 because percent is out of 100. And let's try out some ways. So notice how you can divide this by 3 to get to 10. And this also works by 3, which gives you 15. And again, we are good with the numbers because 10 is a factor of 100. That means 10 can go into 100 10 times. And I would apply the same proportion to the numerator, and that gives us 150, which that is our percent, 150%. Now let's make sure you understand why this is a percent more than 100. Notice how the numerator is actually more than the denominator. That means it makes sense that the percent should be more than 100. Now let's try to do the same question using the double number line. So 30 is our denominator, which is also our total. And once again, the denominator is going to be referencing to the 100%. Since the numerator is 45, which is more than 30, we will have to expand the number line beyond 30 and put a 45 passing 30. And we will put the n right here, meaning that we don't know what that number is. And we will do cross product, which gives us 30 times the number you don't know, n, equals to 4,500. And again, because you're multiplying 30 times a number to get to 4,500, you will do the inverse operation by dividing by 30. And that would bring you the missing number as 150%. And again, that means n, in our case with the variable, is also 150%. Okay, that's it for the lesson.